And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Someday
Back again.
we'll get a theme song, but for now, I'm just gonna just switch out that picture every week. But
I'll send you a theme song.
I do love this picture, right? Like,
No, dude, sweet, yeah.
it just keeps getting shown up. There are a bunch of people that are using it as like Discord icons now, and
Oh, it's great. It has Judge Dredd written all over it, and I'm into that.
here you go.
Want to do a Judge Dredd game, please?
I would love to do a real Judge Dredd game, like with Judge Death and like all the weirdness, right? Not just Sylvester Stallone on a rocket cycle.
Yeah. Climbing a tower for some reason.
Right. How's it going, man? So what's the week been?
What's the week been? The week has been doing a lot of just writing code and a lot of documentation. The cool thing about where we landed on with Fractured Point is that it's close enough to what we were doing, but it adds some nice complexity. So I've had plenty to do. Increasing the way zones work, the way multiplayer works, the way interactions work. I added an in-game chat system yesterday that I'm pretty happy with. It's all server side, so Jeff or somebody has to go right on the client side, but meh.
Cool. Getting the foundation built.
Foundation, man. TCP servers all hooked up, so the networking stack actually talks to one another. We can talk over multiple protocols. It's nice and fast. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with where we're at right now.
So we just have to build a game now.
Just have to build a game. That's the easy part. My part is the most difficult.
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to Fracture Point, it's been an evolution of a few different ideas that have kicked around, and some of the things that I wanted to make sure that we had was, Matt really wanted the evil corporation thing in there, because that's topical, and we wanted a big something that wasn't just giant evil boss guy. We wanted something that is affecting the ecology for a couple of reasons, and one of them being is that we've always had this idea in the back of our head of being able to pull from other companies' stuff in people's wallets and that kind of stuff. So we wanted something that we could fictionally grow as needed, and from my side is like, man, I love and I always have the idea of all the little people inside of your games are real, like the Tron thing, be it video games, be it the book you're reading, be it the whatever. I've always just kind of adored that whole idea that there's this meta thing going on. They're fully aware they're in a game world, but I always just kind of dug that whole meta idea. And so this gives us the ability to screw around with that, and and really looking back at the nostalgia of the the 90s, basically. We always say 80s for arcade games, but really it was the 90s. And just the rapid, of everything in the arcade during those first 5 years of the 90s, and then the PC and console wars in the late 90s. And what's been kind of fun is seeing there are these tropes that show up. Like every sports character in the 90s, with the exception of NBA Jam, are like roid monsters. Like every freaking one of them. It's like, every gang member looks like they got, they dressed at Chess King.
Yeah.
You guys even remember what Chess King is? There's just these certain tropes that have been kind of funny popping up that I totally want to lean into a little bit. But we're probably jumping ahead. We should probably talk about what the actual game is.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I'll explain it while I'm tell you why I love the idea. So essentially, it is a ARPG. It is like the Path of Exiles, the Diablos of the world, other games that you've played, but we're absolutely kind of challenging the tropes of that genre. Which the trope is always strong man beat up bad guy. Well, what if bad guy is just Pac-Man sitting in the corner, and you got to find a way to beat him? Like, just kind of have fun with it, make it entertaining. Um, I love that. I love anything where we can challenge the normal. One of the games that I've always wanted to do is find a way to do um, an MMO or a like an RTS with no combat. Like, what would that look like? You know, what does it look like when you take away a core fundamental piece? And this is exactly it. We're taking away strongman character and saying, no, he's just gonna be a goof and he's gonna fight a bunch of weird stuff that maybe came out of left field.
Right. Right. You know, one of the things that, you know, we wanted to make sure as we're developing the systems and stuff here is whatever character you're using, that does not define how you play.
Yeah.
Right. Like the example I keep using internally is like, oh, I take the little cowboy guy that we've shown a few times. But, you know, in any other game, he'd be your 6-shooter dude, right? He totally would be kind of pigeonholed into doing whatever a cowboy guy does. And I'm like, no, what if this cowboy guy wants to be a wizard? Let him. And I think it will be awesome to see cowboys running around shooting fireballs,
Yeah.
or knights with miniguns, right? Like mix it up a bit, where, you know, instead of just following the same boring tropes of, you know, Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry guys, I worked on it. I'm allowed to bash it. But you know, there are some tropes in the ARPG space that, frankly, are, as far as I'm concerned, are tired, and I would much rather explore in some different ways.
The other one that we were talking about this morning is improvised weapons. What if I don't want to carry anything? What if I just want to use the environment? I'll fight by picking up rocks and sticks and just,
you know, just, you know, if we did such a thing, you just remember that now you're including a physics layer.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Just, you know,
that's on me.
That comes with its own set of headaches. I'm not against it. You know, that's you know, when you come out of like me coming out of the looking glass tree, you know, player agency and being able to use the world against, you know, is definitely a thing. Like, so problem solving is not just pew pew pew.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. That's a lot of work. Immersive gameplay is a lot of work.
I'm not against it. A lot of work.
I'm not against it.
Games are a lot of work, man. You're just piling work on top of work. It just depends on how long we want to take.
Knife and whip, somebody says.
Oh yeah.
Will the characters go to a library to check out the next experience you have? Too early to tell. Like, I know what you're getting at, but it's too early to tell. You know, when you're doing games as a service, some things should be free and some should not. And sometimes, you know, we haven't really talked about this internally yet. It's way too early, but like, you know, I've been at a lot of places where, you know, the content is open to everybody. That way you don't fracture your community. It's always kind of the safe way to do it, so everybody can play everything. The other way to do it is, you know, if we do some giant expansion pack or something, everybody can still play it, but somebody has to own. The person who like launches the instance has to own it. But there are ways to do it. But no, you're not going to go directly to a library, but you might go to our store. And for $19.95,
okay. 1985. What is that? That's 0.8 AVAX, I think.
Yeah. But you know, the from the game side, you know, what you have to think about is that if you charge for content, you do run the risk of fracturing your audience.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, create the haves and have-nots, which is not a great feeling for anyone, I don't think.
right.
Yeah, I'm more on board with content, like game content should be available for everyone, and upgrades and characters and things, and that's where, and skins,
Yep.
that's where you get, that's where you got to pay for your
Yep.
personal look.
Right. If we added, you know, so like one of the ways that I'm thinking about classes, or however we want to put it, is if any of you guys have played like the old Final Fantasy VII, and there was the giant mana board, and so you start here as Titus, and he, you know, there's a path that he can follow, but eventually he breaks out and he can go wherever he wants, right? I'm kind of thinking that same thing, but the starting point is when you come into the game and you pick whoever your character, that NFT that you want to play as, you then pick your starting weapon or whatever, and that determines where you start on the skill board. And if you don't like it, you can just start gravitating towards, you know, somewhere else on the board. Right? If you start at melee and you're like, I hate melee combat, I want the miniguns, I want to be able to shoot weapons, you could, you know, on that skill board move in that direction. So, you know, eventually you could be just awesome at everything, unless we limit skill points and whatever. But the idea being is play your way. Like, don't, you know, it's I always hate it when it's like, I really love that character model, but I have to play this certain style to it. Like, it's always like, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about this idea of genre bending. You know, we've been kind of throwing around the idea that areas from different games and different eras of games is possible. Is that going to be us creating our own art? Is that going to be, what does that look like?
Okay, so let's just take like the beginning. All right, so we know we're going to have to build the hub, and we'll have our style for that, you know. And right now, what's kind of circling in my head until, you know, we do some concepting is like, it feels like an 80s arcade version of the future, right? So a little bit of Tron, a lot of neon, and, you know, pastel colors, and right, Miami Vice on steroids, kind of, right? But then when we go, what the way I've been thinking about it is trying to determine, there's all these kind of like genres from back in the arcade days, right? There's fighters, and then there's platformers, and then there's, you know, the beginnings of first person shooters, and then there's, you know, crazy space games, and then there's like a whole category of games that have weird shit, right? Like, like Food Fight, you know, like where the enemies are a fried egg and a you know, a piece of sausage, right? And like, and they all kind of like, it's kind of awesome, like how insane the structure was back then. But what I was thinking, everything's always going to be an ARPG, isometric, top down, right? We're playing that style, Diablo style. That is how we're always going to play. But what if you took like the characters from, you know, not the direct ones, but a similarity of the characters from Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and those are your bad guys, right? Like, our fiction says that, you know, there are these places, that these games that got taken over and are been corrupted, and then just got smashed into what we're calling the hub. And so it's like they're dirty neighborhoods, basically. And so there'll be like the fighter neighborhood, which is like, you know, there'll be like mutant Ryu and mutant freaking Scorpion, and, you know, we kind of like imitate their powers a little bit, right? But it's still, it's still an ARPG. And personally, I can't wait to see like a little Ryu guy like shooting fireballs like from the top down view. I think it's going to look pretty cool. But that's sort of the gist that I'm going for. And the other one is like, you know, do one that's like is really like playing off the riffs of like old platformers. So you've got, you know, the Goombas and the, you know, weird mechanical stuff from Sonic the Hedgehog, and you know, and then there's a gazillion other ones like Dig Dug. Like one of the ones that I was looking at was making me laugh was like the characters from Dig Dug are just like these wacky little dragons and stuff. And again, with our art style, we can totally capture that old feel, but then kind of make it look modern, and it's probably gonna, we'll see, right? There's definitely some experimenting here, but yeah, these are our bad guys. Is the arcade enemies of your past.
Can't wait to see NBA Jam character throw a flaming basketball at my head.
He's on fire, right?
He's on fire.
Like, yeah. And like I totally want to just like to, you know, just not like not all the time, but like I totally want to be pushing the nostalgia button a bunch, right? I want it to look and feel modern, like we do, right? We're gonna have, you know, our modern lighting and modern physics and all that beautiful stuff, but I want to harken back. I think actually it was either you or my son that said, make it feel the way the ads looked back then.
No,
right? So
great.
Right,
that wasn't me, but that's a great line.
But so like if you think about that, it's like Centipede, like right, the side, the like Centipede is like the do, 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 right. It's like there's nothing going on there really, right? But man, that Centipede on the side was all mechanical and like looked like, you know, something that should be on a side of a van. Right.
One of my favorite ones was Raiders of the Lost Ark for Atari. That looked like it was straight out of the freaking movie, man. That cover art. But then when you pop in the game and load it up, it's just like a little dot, and
right.
It's like or Pitfall's another great one where it's like amazing cover art and pixel gameplay.
Right.
Yeah. Right. No, I'm so down.
And we're still voxel, right? So we only go so far, but we try to realize what those ads back then were trying to convey to us before we sat down and played the game.
Yeah.
You know, because like I definitely remember like our brains are really good at filling in the gaps, right? So I remember like thinking, you know, Virtua Fighter 2 looked absolutely realistic, right? You look at it now and it's a pixel, you know, it's a pixelated mess. Animations are still killer, but it's kind of a pixelated mess. And you know, we you know, basically like we take those old characters, you know, do our own kind of versions, you know, or homage to them, but then polish them up and make them look as good as our, we don't have a name for our characters yet. I'm just going to call them Fusies. Our character, yeah, you know, they already look good, right?
Perfect. So yeah, that hurts me. Fusies hurts. That's a.
I like it. I know.
We got to either find it. We're either not going to name them or find something. But Fusies ain't it. Veto.
I can come up with a theme song for that. Fusies.
I'd go more 80s hair metal, but
Fusies.
Give me the first Transformers movie.
And that's the other thing. I actually wrote this down now that you mentioned the music. I actually wrote this down as I haven't given it much thought other than this. All music is MIDI.
Ooh, 8-bit sound, huh?
Yep.
We can do it. It'd be fun.
Oh, and like 8-bit sound, but now modern, right? It's like, yeah, where you can take that is, I think actually, doesn't Jeff do some of that? Jeff does some of that, doesn't he?
Jeff loves
I think a year ago he sent me, I think he sent me a bunch of MIDI stuff that he did like a year ago.
And he might, yeah. I love it, like the chiptune style, and that's coming back. It's good.
Oh, yeah. And you know, I mean, like, and the thing is that it can go hard, man. It's like,
oh yeah,
but like the end of the MIDI era was like, I mean, the Doom 2 soundtrack is still listenable, you know.
Great.
you know, and maybe we can push it even a little farther, but you know, like to me, I always think that the gaming music sweet spot was Command and Conquer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff's Jeff Saylor. Oh yeah, different Jeff.
Different.
Jeff on our team. Jeff Game Dev, um, master of client side.
Yeah.
Our Unity and Godot master. Also Code Jander.
When it comes to the overarching story, give me another week to F around with it. We have a synopsis, but you know, I don't think I'm ready to completely share that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll leak stuff out. Like, you guys know how we do things.
Right.
We're hyper communicative. So as it's ready, as we've kind of gone through it multiple times, you'll see it. It's a big deal.
See if I have anything out there that we didn't talk about. Oh yeah, well, what's next? We haven't really talked about
The trailer. I'm so excited. So I've seen rough cuts of this thing. I really like it. I hope you guys do too. It's pretty cool. It's pushing the boundaries of what we should be able to do in voxel. It's got some, yeah, you got the video back there the photo back there.
That was wanted to, there we go. Just so people could read. I wanted to shrink us.
Oh no. The other thing that's going on, guys, so we've kind of exited the concept stage, which is great. Now we had this question about what's next. Next really is about putting the core pieces of the game together, me on the server side and some of our other guys on the actual game side, and sort of fitting it all together, seeing how it works, seeing if mobile works, seeing if desktop works, if web works, all of the classic characters and controls problems that you have to go through. Our team is arting. They're doing a killer job. So they're kicking stuff out constantly, which is great. So yeah, it's really about putting the pieces together in a way that we can at least get a internal test ready where we can actually see the thing and start moving around.
Yeah, I've actually hit the place where I started to put together the skeleton of a schedule.
Ooh.
I do think it's funny that like we named this game in about 30 seconds.
You know, it came to me after I read your synopsis about 5 times, and I was like, oh, there's a point where everything fracture point.
And it's just funny because when we went and we're doing the Vexy thing, I mean, we went on for freaking 2 months to name that.
Layers of management, and layers of management.
And we're like, hey, you like this name? Yep, sounds good. Ship it. Like, literally no thought beyond that. So, hope you guys like the name.
Well, no. Things are easy when I can make the final say.
Funny how that works, right?
It is funny how that works. It really is good. Like, I just ran it by you or ran it by George, I think, and boom, done.
So, any questions from out there, guys?
Well, we got a few. What component of the game is going to get a PvP or hooked? That's an interesting question, because I don't know that this game is focused on them. This is not going to be your traditional MMO where you go and fight constantly and you're griefing people and stuff like that. But I don't know that that's the play. There may be an idea I had last night was that one of the spokes would be a gladiatorial ring. So maybe. But as far as like if you're a hardcore PvPer where you're looking to max out your gear and your gear is focused on killing players, this might not be the game for you. It's just it's I don't think it's any of our play styles on the team. And it's really not our goal. Our goal is to tell a story. Our goal is to have fun. And yeah, but I think there's plenty of other reasons why somebody who's into that would play it. And I think it is for some of the goofiness and some of the cooperative play.
I mean, we do have in our stable of crap we may build later. We Matt and I have gone around on doing like a retro shooter like more than once, right? I mean, I cut my teeth on, the Doom and Quake era,
Yeah.
and I would, Doom, Quake, Unreal Tournament, right? Like that was my growing up wheelhouse. And I would love to go back and revisit that kind of old school and do it with the voxel style characters. I think it would be hilarious, right? I think it could be, again, highly competitive. We could because when you don't focus completely on the art, it's all this extra time to do really cool gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to learn a lot about weird weapons and stuff like that as we do this game, which would, obviously just slide right into the next game, right? Go back and look at take an hour and go back and watch the top 100 arcade games, of the 90s.
Super
and
weird.
super weird. There's some really wild creative stuff that people did that nobody's ever replicated that it's just bizarre. I saw some guy that I forget which game it was, but it was a side scroller beat 'em up, and one of the powers is that they just had flails coming out of their chest and spinning around like this, and that was their attack. I was like, what's going on here? So basically they were a wheel of spikes. But you kind of forget how freeing that era was, where it's been rejuvenating and refreshing.
Yeah, it's games have gotten so serious lately. Again, that's just why I love this concept. We talked so much about doing an ARPG and originally a JRPG, and I was like, I want to tell a story. I want to have the story have meaning, but I don't want to be God. I don't want to do a Final Fantasy. I don't want to do a Path of Exile where it's so serious.
No, yeah, because you and I are super serious people.
Man, it's gonna be refreshing when you pop into an arena and the boss you're fighting is Hubert. Well, Hubert.
Yeah, there was some game I came across today that the boss was a mouse with a straw, like the Ronin Japanese hat, not the coolie, but the one that goes like that, in a bathrobe wearing sneakers. That was the boss. And I'm like, oh man, the old days, right? Where you could just be like, here's our new boss. And everybody's like, cool.
In-game voice chat. This is a really interesting one. So in-game voice chat is really hard to police. I have found that the moment that you turn it on in the game, somebody gets called a slur. The very second. So I am gonna say that our voice conversations in game are going to be supported by third parties. Go to your TeamSpeak, go to your Ventrilo, go to Discord.
Yeah.
Not if any of you even remember TeamSpeak. I just think it's better for our community if you get to choose when to talk to somebody.
But yes, it will be tied in in some way, shape, or form. Yep. The only I think I would take that over is if we were building a game that really required location chat, right? Which is not this. But if there was a game that location chat mattered, right? Some kind of horror game or some giant war game tactics thing. Then yeah, sure, we would go there. But for this game, no. Yeah, just
And we'll go there
why,
text. For text chat, we'll do that.
yeah.
But if voice, no. Like you said, I just can't.
And Discord does it better anyway, right? Like why rewrite the
exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Anything that we built on our own would not be better than what Discord does, because Discord does it every single day.
Yep.
I'm trying to make a game, not a chat platform.
Yeah. I've wondered, speaking of Discord, because every time I boot up a game, it's like, hey man, why don't you go live?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would anybody in our community actually watch me be boring? Like games?
It's a great question. I've thought about it too. I've at least, like, anytime I'm doing some research, which in our field is playing other games,
right?
Like, yeah, if anyone's ever actually interested in that, we'll set up either a night or we'll do it every Thursday as a team or something, where we just go through different games.
Maybe we do that for this next week. Next week, we just sit down and play Diablo 4 or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe we sit down and play. We should play Minecraft Dungeons, if that's possible.
Good, yeah. Multiplayer, I don't know.
Yeah, let me look at it.
Where was you saw another question? Favorite N64 game, I think, is what you found.
Oh, that was just somebody on X.
Well, let's explore it, because N64 is my favorite. Question is, what's your favorite N64 game if it's not Mario 64, Mario Kart, or GoldenEye?
I don't know if this is a 64 game. But Mario Strikers, but I think that
came out later.
I think that was a cube, right? I didn't have an N64. It was one of the ones we talked about this. This is one of the ones I went the other way. I had the Saturn and the Dreamcast.
My favorite.
I was that guy.
I had an N64 from the day it launched till about 4 years ago. I finally got rid of it. Conker's Bad Fur Day, #1 game ever. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's insulting, and it's fun. That, and then I played a lot of Perfect Dark, which was just a better GoldenEye. Mm-hmm. No one can ever convince me that GoldenEye is the better game. Perfect Dark was just awesome with its multiplayer that actually worked. Let's see, what else I played a lot of Army Men Sarge's Heroes.
See, it was weird for me. It was like that was the moment that Doom 2 came out at that same time, and Warcraft, Command and Conquer was all in that same. So I was going pretty hard on PC games at that point.
Yeah.
And never look back. I'm still a PC gamer at heart.
Me too. I never had, growing up, I
did buy a controller finally.
Hey, there you go. I didn't have a strong computer, especially in the 90s. Like, I played a lot of Delta Force 2 on PC, but that's about as far as and Quake. I played a lot of Quake.
I was, obviously there's an age difference here, but yeah, I was already like top shelf machine,
Yeah, I didn't have
3D
that.
FX card. I was playing GL Quake like within the first month it was released.
Yeah,
I was
we
that
weren't.
guy. I had disposable income up the ass at that point.
Yeah, we weren't broke, but we were close.
Yeah, no, I was working in television and my early 20s and making way more money than I should have.
Oh, the best times. Disposable income, no kids.
Yeah, it didn't suck.
Oh man,
My
I
rent
miss those.
my rent was $450 a month in 1995. And that was split between two of us. So I was spending $225 a month on rent. It's
Oh
crazy.
man,
And I was making probably 80,000.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was good living.
I played I played a lot of 64. I had a PS1, so I got both from the same generation. I did not own a Sega Saturn,
I did.
but my buddy did, and we played it a lot for the 4 games that came out for it.
Hey.
That
I know
thing,
I chose poorly twice in a row, right? I
you
bought
really
that,
did.
and then I bought the Dreamcast, which was also a really good machine, but like again, no developer support.
The Dreamcast was really cool because it had the in controller screen. I had never seen that before.
There was what was it? Phantasy Star Online was on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it had the plug-in. Yeah, you could actually go online with it.
Yeah, it had that game that you could talk to the fish. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What was the name of that? But it was like one of the original AI games, right? Where it's like you talk to the fish and you fed them and all that, and you like either turned into a cool guy or a jerk.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it. I stayed where the sports games were, so I in 64 and then PS1 for Quarterback Club and for say Gretzky's Hockey 99 was on the PS1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, those were where I stayed. I was a sports kid.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions? Anything? Here's your chance, guys. Hit us with anything.
Oh, there was one that I didn't answer, and I've saved it for the last, which is good. Can I play as any of my Vox? This is a funny question because in December and January, when we knew the team was getting cut, we reached out to Gala and we kind of said, look, we're going to do this. Let's work together. Like, spin us off, cut us a little bit of funding for startup money, and we'll build the game that was closer to what Vox was promised. And we didn't get a response back, so you can tell how interested they are working with us.
Or games in general.
Or well, yeah. If shrug, not my department anymore.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on over there. Although they're still building Vexy Villages, so no matter what you think about it, it's just kind of cool that they're continuing development. They do see a little bit of value there. It's cool knowing that our name is still on it.
April? Yeah, we would have been done.
Close. But yeah, no, it's good. But no, we have currently no plans to work with Gala. They're pretty locked down in what they allow their NFTs to do anyway. So I would be worried about IP restrictions as well. Like if we pulled the Walking Dead series, that opens us up for all sorts of problems. So it's like you're really only talking about Townstar, and honestly, it's okay to leave that in the past.
Speaking truth. But we are going to look at if there's a way to do that with, you know, other franchises, whether they're game franchises or not, but that's in the future. We're going to build our own brand up here a little bit. But we,
Yeah,
you know, when we were really looking at that of like taking like the Misfit toys from the Galaverse and bringing them into Vexy, like that was very appealing to us. You know, and you know, because I'll be honest, I think that, you know, people in the crypto space got screwed a lot, you know, by projects that didn't complete, and you know, and false promises and yada yada yada. And if we can take some of that, float some and jet some that is out there in the crypto verse and give it some, you know, give it some utility and some worth, and still pennies on the dollar, I'm sure, but at least it's doing something, not just in the dustbin of you know, of history.
yeah. I guess I'd love to hear from you guys on our Discord. There's a suggestions channel. I'd love to hear from you. What are your either your favorite non-game NFT project or a non-game NFT project that is abandoned or just the game never panned out? Um, because it would be good to know who's part of what community and start making a list of who to contact. Because again, with this concept of different worlds colliding, it's not that hard for us to envision Bored Apes. It's not that hard to envision any other NFT project as just one of the levels. Um, you know, we'd be happy to work with anyone who wants to work with us. So let us know. Let us know what you have.
And if not, we're just going to make all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what we do.
Yep. All right, Chris. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening on another production meeting, BS chat. Yeah, keep following us.
Yep. And you know, more as we go. And we'll talk to you on the old Discord.